how did we do this? Who talked you into this?
I who talked you into this? I don't know. It's
Lindsey Ueberroth, CEO, Preferred Hotels and Resorts. Lindsey, I'm excited to hear your journey and to find out all about the company. Thanks for joining us today.
it's my pleasure. I'm looking forward to this.
I mean, you've got a big job. Like, Preferred is the largest collection of independent hotels globally. A lot of nice ones, right? How many hotels, remind me?
We have over 600 hotels in Preferred Hotels and Resorts, and we're across 80 countries.
80 countries. I mean, that's not a small job. And where you remind me where you are right now? How do you manage it from
I'm actually in Newport Beach, California for
your
the
home in
first
Newport
time
Beach?
in about 3 months. So it's actually nice to be home.
So do you have to travel a lot then? And what are you doing? Are you traveling to go see these hotels or your team? What are you
Yeah.
traveling to see?
It's a little bit of everything. So this year I was probably on the road 60 to 70% of the time. So this year was a lot of travel, but a lot of it's because, the world's officially completely open. So it's a little bit of, visiting member hotels, prospective hotels, our own team, clients, and that could be the travel trade, it could be media, it could be, so I get to interact with a lot of people when I travel.
How many times have you circumvented the globe?
I stopped counting. And when United gave me the Million Mile, award, that was really not that exciting after the fact. That was when, you stop counting those sort of things.
All right, so let's do this. So I want to dive into Preferred but I got to know your story, and I really want to know what you've done with the company and how you've grown it, because I think your fingerprints are sort of all over it, as we can see. But start me back up. So give me what Lindsey Ueberroth it was like as a child, growing up where, and go.
Okay, so nobody actually believes this anymore, but if my mother were, here with us, she would validate and vouch for this. So I was born in Tarzana, California. So for those that are like old enough to know, it was like I would have been a valley girl had we stayed there. I was actually really shy. So I was a very shy child. And over time, because we moved a lot, I think people really thought that I was, that my family was like in the military, because we moved from Tarzana, California to Minneapolis, Minnesota, back to Laguna Beach, California. I went to high school in Hawaii, college in North Carolina, and then had some personal moves in between as it related to, my professional life. So I've moved a lot, and I think that has definitely influenced who I am and forced me out of my shy shell that I was as a child. All of those moves really, shaped who I was. I went to college in Winston-Salem, North Carolina at Wake Forest University. Then, interestingly, while I was in college, we had our home burned down in the Laguna Beach fires. And it's really interesting what I don't look at it as a tragedy. I don't think anyone in my family does. But when things like that happen, it gives you sort of a new lens on life. And my father decided to take a real big turn and went and decided to start acquiring businesses in the travel space on his own. And that was how I say I accidentally went to work for him. It was an interesting time where he was acquiring a lot of different businesses, and I don't know if you remember the Y2K. Everybody thought the world was going to come to an end, and then it didn't.
Yes.
And I was put, what do they call it, kind of on the bench. So I had a lot of free time for a few months, and got really interested in what my father was doing, and accidentally went to work for him because he was having to go through a lot of change management with the acquisitions of these companies. So
why do you think, why did you join this one? But why do you think your father purchased this company? What did he like about this entity?
About Preferred?
About Preferred.
Buying
a bunch.
Yeah, I mean, well, we grew up traveling, and my parents talk about it, and I have no problem mentioning our competitors, but I remember they used to have the directories everybody would carry around. There was the Relay and Chateau and Leading and Preferred, and so we grew up with these directories, and we would travel and stay in all these places. And I think when the opportunity came around, he was approached. Preferred was looking for somebody to invest or buy for a variety of reasons, but really it was because of what happened after September 11th, and that the company at the time was owned by the hotels. So they were the shareholders. So it was an interesting time because now you have shareholders and owners who were really focused on really the health of their own properties, not this company. And so it sort of was in a, had gotten itself into some troubled waters. And so they were looking for somebody. And that's ultimately how we got involved. And there was an interesting family discussion around, quote unquote, should we go spend your inheritance to buy this company? And my brother and I said, it's not our money, it's yours. And we think this is pretty exciting. And that's ultimately how the family ended up buying Preferred Hotels and Resorts. I joined almost immediately after my family bought the company. So it's been over 20 years. So part of the journey I think that's important is my father's very savvy. He never asked me to come work for the family business. He would ask if I'd want to come join him on a couple meetings, right? So he would take me, and at the time, he was visiting a lot of hotels, trying to really understand what their needs were, what their challenges were, what was preferred delivering, what was preferred not delivering. And I fell hook, line, and sinker. And it probably goes back to my fascination in change management, right? Because you're listening to challenges and opportunities, and I, it was such a neat story, and I could see the vision that my dad had for it, and it's certainly a passion that we have for travel. And so he said, he never asked me. I sort of raised my hand and said, hey, I think this is pretty neat. Can I come work for the company? And started out, opening up offices. I had so many hats. I mean, I at one point in time oversaw IT, sales, meetings and events. I definitely didn't jump into the CEO role, but I think that's now been about 8 or 9 years that I've been in this role, and it's been an incredible journey.
He knew.
Yes.
What would you say are your biggest accomplishments for being in that role?
We had some pretty major changes in the business. A couple were deciding to rebrand. And part of that rebranding is when we first acquired the company, we were a family of brands. So we had Preferred Hotels and Resorts, Summit, Sterling. We launched Preferred Boutique, and we were about to launch another brand when we were dealing with a really wonderful creative genius who said, why are you going to launch another brand? That's what everybody's doing. Everybody's launching a bunch of brands. I think you should do the reverse. I think you should actually retire a bunch of your brands and just focus on the heritage of Preferred Hotels and Resorts and kind of reset, what this means. And so going through that process was incredible because, a rebranding's a lot in the first place, but now convincing 600 plus hotels why it's good for them, what collection are they going into, all the touch points that it goes into, was an incredible journey. And it was something that I really enjoyed and I was very proud of.
All right, Lindsey, I'm thinking like how you guys pick and choose and who you let in to the membership. So what does it mean to be a preferred hotel?
What does it mean? Okay. So, I mean, a couple different things. So really when we're looking at who would fit the criteria, we're looking at ultimately destination. Is it a destination that we can support? Is it a destination people want to travel to? The location in that destination. And then we've got our own brand standards that they have to meet. And so really what that is a hotel's commitment to really maintaining the highest level of luxury, service, guest satisfaction, and at the same time, delivering that unique, authentic experience that is what it means to be an independent hotel. So are they really kind of curating that experience that resonates with our traveler who, as I said before, it's sort of like they look at it as a reflection upon themselves. I stay here because this is sort of who I feel I am as an individual. And so it's sort of a secret sauce that all of those things.
Who's making that decision? Are you flying there and giving them a thumb up, thumb down? Or is there a team of people that go and say, okay, this works?
We have regional directors all over the globe that have, so they've got a regional territory that they're responsible for, and not only in terms of bringing hotels in, but the retention of that.
Yep.
And then we've got an outside third-party inspection process that takes place as well. So that's how we maintain the quality assurance standards over time. is making sure that they're still living up to those brand standards.
So how do you continue to compete with the chains today? They've gotten pretty big and strong and powerful.
They've gotten pretty big and strong. I will say that I think one of the advantages
Yes.
of them all launching a version of what we do, right? So they've all launched a version. It's helped validate what we do. What we do is provide a global brand in terms of global sales, marketing, distribution, loyalty. We provide all that infrastructure. We don't own and we don't manage. And we allow hotels to have their independence. And that gives a lot more flexibility than the chains and the franchises. And so to elaborate on that a little bit more is, it's contract length. Our contracts are an average of 5 years. Now we have incredible retention. So we have hotels that have been with us 30 plus years, but that's huge for owners, that flexibility. The fee structure is completely different. I mean, ours is based on revenue that comes through our channels. It doesn't include food and beverage and all those other ancillaries. It really is about, room nights, which is very different than how the chains are set up.
We're hearing a lot more of the, fights with the brands, and the brands went from 7% to 10% to 15%. So they're charging too much. Everybody's thinking they're getting too strong. So I
mean, we've had a trend that we're seeing is more hotels deflagging. So
yes,
we've helped hotels deflag from Four Seasons to Ritz-Carltons to Marriott's to Westin's to, you name it. And that's when that the tides are turning, because you've got hotel owners that are saying, you know what, even if I had a little dip in occupancy, it makes up for it in terms of rate and just overall fees. So like it ends up being a lot more profitable for them. We have an incredible quality assurance program. So the criteria to join the brand and to stay in the brand is in place, but without, I'll call it, the hard restrictions that the chains have, and the strenuous PIPs or the mandatory, you've got to change these sort of things. So it really is about flexibility. I say I have to say this carefully, performance-based, in the sense of, that it's what comes through our channels, and really allows hotel owners and management companies to fit the needs of their property. Whereas sometimes the major chains, it's sort of a mandated, this is a one size fits all approach. And so, I think that's really important. I think global recognition. If you're one independent hotel, how is anybody going to know if you're good? You should be trusted, so that global recognition, that seal of approval as an independent, I think is really important. I think also just access. We're giving you access to brand level partnerships. Now, the big chains can give you that too. But again, if you go back and you really want to be independent, if you're not part of a brand like ours, it's hard to get that. So I think that those are the sort of differentiators.
So I'm glad you said that, because going to the bottom up, there are a lot, like it's a new trend with developers now, just in the States, but okay, everywhere, but in the States, to develop truly independent hotels.
Mm-hmm.
I could rattle off a bunch of them right now. And they're just, hey, if I build the right hotel, I guess I've got the internet, maybe it's the OTAs they beholden to, but I've got I've built a really nice product, and people will find me. We've got our own sales team, our own sales staff, people will find us. So there's a lot of that trend. So
Sure.
maybe my question for you is, why should they join you instead of just being truly independent? Go.
Well, I think it depends on the property, right?
Yes.
So there's some hotels that I completely agree that you might be in a region where it's 100% drive market, and you could do all of your digital marketing within a certain radius, and you could do that. I think that's a very valid thing. I think if you are a property in certain markets that really needs global corporate support, leisure or group, is looking for, call it, brand level, access to travel management companies or the consortia, and really wants that brand reputation, and you're looking for business outside of your own market, that's why you would come to a partner like us, because we're going to give you all of that. We allow you to plug into all of it, have access to it, and use it the way that you need to. And like I said, there's some hotels that absolutely 100% could remain independent, but I think that if you're looking for, so we call it the trampoline effect. You want to jump a little bit higher and a little bit safer. that's what we're going to give you.
I like it. I like it a lot. What's the future look like? Whether that's for Preferred or for Lindsey, what's the future look like?
Oh, well, for Lindsey, life's great. So I'm loving life. I think it's funny. They say the older you get, time goes faster, but I'm enjoying it more. So, and part of that is the professional side of it. I mean, the things that are great at the company, we've had a lot of growth. Travel's back in every way. So that's been fun. It's got its own complexities right now, but there's some exciting things. So as I look kind of forward into the future, I get asked this a lot, what's next? And, growth, but not just for growth's sake. So we're not just trying to add number of hotels. We're really trying to fill in gap markets. So the world's a big place. So there's a lot of cities where we either don't have a presence or we'd like to grow our presence. So really strategically looking at that, our goal would be to have a hotel in every market that somebody would want to travel to. So that's a big focus for us. Our Legend collection is another big focus, and just because it's a unique collection. We just surpassed 100 hotels in that. I mean, these are really iconic hotels that really set the benchmark for luxury. I mean, they're destinations in their own right. They're the aspirational hotels that everybody thinks about, and so really kind of focusing on growth of that is also important. And then you can't open up a newsletter nowadays without hearing about sustainability. So, the growth of our Beyond Green brand, but it's more importantly, it's our commitment at the brand level. So we're rolling out our own climate action plan, and there's been a huge learning curve for me in that and what that means for us as a corporate entity. And a lot of people would say, oh, well, just stop traveling, right? That's the solution. Well, that doesn't work really well when you're in the travel business. So really trying to figure out how to work smarter, educate our hotels, educate our team. Those are some major priorities for
How
us.
did you see the P&Ls for the hotel? How are the hotels doing? Can you tell what hotels doing better in whether it's New York or London or in Italy or Australia? Can you tell how's the world?
So some
Market?
hotels will share their P&Ls, but no, we don't have access to all of their P&Ls.
Okay.
But I would say in general, hotels up until this year and even through this year have done incredibly well, with a few exceptions. There's still some markets that were lagging, but I mean that desire to travel has been a huge boon. Now, what's happening now is it's been so good. ADR rates have been through the roof, and occupancy has been huge. So owner expectations are really, really high, and it's starting to level off, meaning people are still willing to pay the rate, but the expectations of what they're going to get for that are even higher. And hotels are now having the challenges with just cost. How do you maintain when costs are rising, and now ADRs have stabilized, and in some cases occupancies have leveled off as well. So, but it was still a very good year for most hotels. And you rattled off a bunch of markets that have done incredibly well.
Course, of course.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if you can see the trends too. Like, again, just for me, everyone was going to Greece and now they're going to Japan. So
Oh,
what if you,
yeah.
right? Like, can you see all those trends?
You can start, yes. So we'll track trends. So we'll track same store and how hotels and regions are pacing. So you can
Yes.
tell who's pacing ahead and who's maybe trailing. So Asia is now going to be probably a golden child. You're gonna see a lot of people now traveling to Asia because it's now having a full recovery and markets are opening up. You're also seeing a shift in, I'll call it, the traditional European markets to, I mean, the Italies and the Frances and the Greeces. But I mean, I spent time in all of those this summer, and it was very crowded. And so now people are looking to go to other markets still in Europe and maybe in those countries, but they're looking to go to secondary, tertiary markets that maybe a little less busy. And so you're starting to see that shift. US, it's an election year, so people tend to taper back travel a little bit and stay domestic. And so you're starting to see that, which hopefully will be good for the US market domestically.
That's all fascinating. I'd love to sit down and go over all of these and all your hotels with you. All right, where's your, I know it's like picking children. Where's your favorite hotel? If you're going to tell me one to only go to one, where am I going?
I always tell, it's usually the last place I just visited. So
Great. Where was
Yeah.
that?
I was in Mallorca for the first time over this summer and stayed at one of our new properties called Sonnet and loved it. I mean, it's like a jewel box. I didn't know Mallorca for an island was as big as it was either. We have 4 properties on that island. That just happened to be the one that I stayed at, but it's impossible to pick a favorite. It really is, but it usually is the last property I just stayed at.
Lindsey, this is fantastic. Thank you, thank you, thank you for coming on and sharing your story with us. How proud do you think your father is of you right now?
I think he's pretty proud. I think
He is too.
we have fun. We've always said as long as we're having fun, let's keep doing this. My father's still comes into the office on a regular basis, and I think it's what keeps him young, us young, and yeah, we have a lot of fun together.
I'm really impressed with everything that you've done. And we all know the joys of family business and the sorrows. So cheers to you for everything that you've done. I'm very impressed.
Thank you so much. This was a lot of fun.
All right, let's do it again.
Okay.
Thanks, Lindsey.